Breaking news.
Breaking
news. What's the breaking news, Russ and Dan?
Well, it's sort of breaking news.
Are you edge? Are you on the edge? Are you on the edge?
Yeah.
I just said before we went on, I'm trying not to get too excited. This is the player I've wanted all window, and it's like, yes,
It's taken 2 flights. It's taken starting to go back out there, get more duty free, bring back a big Toblerone. He must have so many big Toblerones around his house now. The amount of flights he's taken recently. But it does seem, according to David Ornstein, broke it about an hour or so ago, followed by Dharmesh, who basically retweeted David Ornstein, who basically is exactly the same. And Fabrizio has said negotiations are going well. Ornstein has said West Ham on the verge of agreement with Ajax to sign Mohamed Kudus. 23-year-old attacking, expected to be accepted. Obviously, yesterday we had a 42 million euro bid rejected, but apparently we have had a 41.5 million plus 3 million in add-ons plus a 10% sell-on fee on the verge of agreement, apparently. Personal terms in place of a 5-year deal with an option for an extra year on top. So, 6 years basically deal.
See, when they tell you that big or little Timmy, he's not actually tiny. He's not fucking tiny. He's not on Dan and Russ levels tiny.
But then you are like the land of the giants.
Freakishly big.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I'm not freakishly big. Like Marcus is freakishly big. I'm just like average freakishly big. Yeah. But anyway, when Timmy fucking flies in an airplane and the world knows that he's flying in an airplane going talking to a club, it means they mean business. And that's the impression I'm getting. It's like I'm going out to do talks, and even if the bid's not going to come, there's still negotiations to be made unless they're ripping a new fucking hole to West Ham.
Tim Steidten is going to go down as one of the most important pieces of business this club has done.
Nice.
He really, really is, because it's funny because before you text me and said, "Oh, you're going to jump on and do a video," I had Sky Sports on, and Dharmesh was talking about Spurs, and he was saying how obviously Andrew's gone in there and he's 4-year contract. It's going to be a big rebuild, but Andrew's kind of turned around and said that the whole director of football thing is really the most important role in football now, because what you want from a director of football is for them to kind of go, right, this is the style of football, this is the brand of football we're going to play. I'm going to go and buy the players so that. And even if we bring them in on long-term contracts, it's going to be easier to kind of get rid of the manager than it would be, say, 8 or 9 players and having to keep doing this whole rebuild thing, because the players are ready-made to the system. So it's easier to just replace managers, so to speak. And I feel that's maybe why we brought Stein in, is try and get a bit of a bloody identity again. So it doesn't really matter what manager comes in. They just got to be willing to work with him and work within the system and stuff that they build. And maybe that's kind of what we've started in this window.
Right. It's taken a while, though, isn't it? It's taken a while.
It has. But you know what? I think these deals for these players that are worth it do take time, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be pretty much throughout most of the teams, to be honest. I know some of them have done a little bit of business early, but no one's shut up shop really and closed up shop. A lot of people are in the market and still in the market. I
mean, the fact is you've had two game weeks already, and players have got injured. And you look at someone like City, who are now looking at Nunes from Wolves and stuff. And there'll be people jostling. There'll be also teams putting their final squads together as well. The manager, and they'll be like, right, okay, well, this is my squad, so these guys can go. And so there's going to be in the next week. There's going to be lots of those sort of peripheral players who, the likes of maybe Ian Martson from Chelsea, the likes of Brozier. These guys are going to be available, for various clubs, because, Poch is like, I don't want them on this week. The same with us. The likes of Coventry will be probably made available on loan and stuff like that. So you're going to get even more of that coming around now. Just we get to the last ebbs of the transfer window, and we've got to play Brighton. No, we've got to play Luton on that day, innit?
I know, mate. I know.
It's stupid, isn't it? Still play half time. We can announce a new signing at half time. Maybe you never know.
But so obviously, Dan, you've got a wide knowledge of football in general. I always do appreciate your opinion and listen to when you talk about a player and say this is what we should target. You've been a big fan of Fofana. You've been quite open about that as well. Mohamed Kudus, Ghanaian international, played at the World Cup. turned a few heads and has been doing with Ajax as well. What's your kind of general consensus on the player, and why do you think he kind of fits the system at West Ham?
I don't know if it's so much that he fits the system, but he's everything we need. A bit of pace, power, and he can play multiple positions. And I think that's the most important. I genuinely think that's going to be the most important thing with this player, because he's going to be able to play wide left and right. He can play up top if needed. I would say probably his best position is coming in off the left-hand side, but he can play central attacking midfield. But he can even play centre mid. He's so versatile. And I just think it's one of them. 23 years of age, got a really high ceiling, really, really highly thought of at Ajax. And for me personally, we're getting one over on the big boys here. Because I genuinely think he's good enough to have gone to, a very big club and been able to go in there and get the job done. Like City have just gone and dropped like 55 million on Doku. I genuinely think that City could have saved themselves £10 million here and gone and got Kudus, and he would have been just as good. I really do stand by that. So I think we've got ourselves a really good player, and I like the deal as well. In England, in pounds, it's like 39 million in it plus the add-ons, but the 10% sell on, that's just to bring down the initial fee, I think. But if it gets to a point where we do sell him, this is going to be another one that's going to be north of 80-90 million when we come to sell him if he's successful at the club. So, and I think these 10% sell-on fees only if you sell him for what you bought him for, or
to make a profit on him. Yeah, it's usually on the profit, I thought.
Yeah, it's never if you lose money. So I think it's a great deal all round.
He comes not just, he comes with European experience. He's played in the Europa League, he's played in the Champions League, and he scored goals in all the competitions as well. I think looking at last year's stats, Champions League, he played 6 games, scored 4 goals and assisted 2. In the Europa League, played 2 and scored 1. The guy's got a long history, actually, from the time he's been at Ajax of being really effective in every game he's played and what he's done. And he's an exciting player. He definitely is an exciting player. You can't remotely deny that. We've spoken about this before, Danny, like the ball carrying midfielder. Like, talk to me about that. Like, is this? Yeah,
he's going to do it probably in the wider areas, but I just feel like he is more of a player that he isn't going to shy away from anything. He's going to come and get the ball, even if he's playing wide left, for instance, because I really feel like that's where we're going to play him, especially after watching the weekend and Benny having another bit of a stop-start game. I do think he's probably going to play wide left, but he'll come inside and collect the ball, and he's got a frightening turn of pace. And it's everything that defences don't like, but it's something we lack. Is pace. It really, really is. And if we can get 1 or 2 through the door that have got that, we're going to be a frightening team to play. So especially on the counter attack again, it's going to be proper Moyes ball. He's going to go back a couple of seasons, isn't it, where it's going to be on the counter attack, force the set pieces. But we're going to have a lot of big boys in the box now. With Ward-Prowse as well. He's already shown us what he could do at the weekend. So
you need to wait and see. You need to see Russ's new image. I don't even know if he's uploaded it yet, but you need to wait and see. I don't know if he's using it for a specific show.
I don't know. I was bored.
I fucking said it last night, Dan. I pictured it. I said I can picture Russ looking from a fucking grounds point of view, looking up at all these skyscrapers. And what are the skyscrapers? West Ham footballers. What's Russ sent today? You wait and see, mate. Russ, strength and depth is a massive thing for West Ham. We've done this last night when we were on the show with Holly, and we were the other night, and we were looking through the squad. Yeah, and literally only 4 weeks ago, I'm not going to lie to you, I was shitting myself a bit.
Yeah,
not a bit, a lot.
We all were. We all were shitting ourselves, weren't we? We're the only side not to have done any, not to have made any signings, and now we've made 3. I think really good signings. They're not. These aren't players. These 3 I think we brought in aren't going to be squad. These guys, we want guys to come in and compete for the first 11. JWP, Alvarez, both of them will compete for those midfield sort of 2 slots really, because you got Paqueta's got one, so Souček and one other, or Alvarez and JWP. You've got Dinos coming in now. 25, he's, you got to imagine that Zuma's not going to be playing all the games anyway. He gives an option. He's rapid. He likes to bring the ball forward, very progressive. So if
you know what, I think Dinos could potentially be the if he can get going, I think he might be the best signing we've made. Because I feel like he's going to be one of those defenders that isn't scared to kind of carry it out from defence into the midfield.
Fucking carry it out, mate.
I know, but this is the thing, right? This is what you get with these defenders that started life as strikers. You just get this. They're just batshit. Do you know what I mean? They don't care about coming forward. But the great thing about him is great feet, and he's quick. So he's going to be one of them. I feel like he could be, and for the money, 19 million. It doesn't.
And also, I think
so good.
It seems such a good deal, and I think also the thing is, and we said it on the stream yesterday. In the fact that if Moyes is still here by the end of this season, we've had a good season, right? We've had a decent season, and then hopefully Moyes will go off into the sunset. Mavropanos is the type. Well, we'll see what happens. Mavropanos will come in, with a new manager underneath him, and again, these are very modern centre backs, and so, I think I always see Zuma as a bit of an old throwback, a bit of a bruiser, but someone like Alvarez as well, he's going to just slot in. I just think it's starting to. The wheels have finally turned, and I don't know what's happened. Whether it's just started just doing what he wants now, or Moyes just saying, "Oh fuck it, just get who you want now."
Well, I think we said this again the other night, though. You can't help but think that there is a bit of unity now. I mean, I fucking put out a tweet earlier on. Like, you can see that there seems to be unity behind the scenes, which is something that social media is a crazy thing. Like, you can get caught up in it so much, and your emotions can take that journey as part of social media. So that can lead you into a sense of feeling shit to a sense of feeling amazing. So, we've talked about this all before. You're hearing people leaving, Mark Warburton leaving, other people leaving, and then all the coaching staff, and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And then, oh my God, what's actually, our targets are Tim Steidten and David Moyes getting on. And then suddenly, Bosch, you're starting to see a couple of these signings come over the line, and you can't help but think there's that unity. It's a case of, I think I said this all along, like, it's like they've gone, I'm not saying this is exactly what they're doing, but it's like they've gone, there's 4 players for that position, and this is who Moyes and Steidten agreed on, whether that's a Moyes or a Steidten option. And there's that position, and Steidten, go and do what you need to do with that kind of list. And because Dan, you said if West Ham are going to get their pants pulled down, then they'll move on to their next target. I think we all believe they had a next target. It's just it looks like they probably want this guy.
Yeah. Which is fair. I think that was more what I would have personally done if it was getting to a point where, the selling club were maybe becoming difficult. I think it's a bit rich for us to say, considering how hard we made it for Arsenal with Rice. But and they're well within their rights to have their asking price and want the money they want for him. But I think with situations like this, with 9 or 10 days to go, you've got to be clever. And so that's what I was kind of getting at. It's like, do we waste another day or two and then leave ourselves with no time to get someone in, of a similar ilk? But just coming back to that point you were making about Stein and Moyes, though, is I think we all got drawn into the fact that there's friction, they might not be getting on and whatnot. But I've kind of been looking at the whole window as it's gone along and kind of reviewing it and looking back and whatever. And the way I don't, looking back on it now with kind of, with glasses on, I don't really feel like there was ever friction. I feel like at the beginning of the window, Moyes was just being a bit stubborn and there was players he wanted. And I think the club did genuinely try to get his targets, but they weren't within the wage and transfer structure that Steidten was willing to work in. He was being outpriced. Maguire is a really good example of it. I just think the fee, it could be done, but then he realised that the contract couldn't and the wages couldn't be met. Move on, let's go to the next target. And I think that all of Moyes kind of exhausted all of his targets early in the window, but it made our window look worse than it was because we took all our time on the Moyes targets. And then once they were all done, it's funny how once the Moyes targets are out the way, the next bunch of signings all kind of happened very quickly over the next, week, 10 days. And, because Tim Steidten's kind of allowed to do his job, because Moyes is like, okay, you tried. He obviously got Ward-Prowse. I think that is one that Moyes really, really wanted. Yeah. But other than that, I do genuinely think it's kind of, okay, cool. You've tried for me. Now you go and do what you want to do. And you look at it and the signings are happening.
There's a new,
hopefully
so
by the
just a
time the
low,
window's up, it's all
there's a
done.
new chant that I've just stole off of someone on Twitter. It's like- but yeah,
But yeah, that's how I
agree.
look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I think there's, that bit of unity. And the thing is, when I look at the window, I've always wanted West Ham to do business early, right? And it's frustrated me that we've not. And I feel like that's where some of our Premier League form has maybe dipped in terms of looking at the amount of signings we made last year. Great signings, some of them, and some of them not. But then equally, though, the ones that weren't really given a real shot, like in terms of the Gianluca Scamacas of the world, and all that sort of stuff. But this year was always going to be different. We still needed quality over quantity, but the quality had to be really, really up there. And we never really knew. We knew what we were getting with Alvarez in terms of his experience of playing at Ajax and his experience of playing and European football. And I think that if Ajax weren't playing European football, that may have scuppered the whole thing and what he does at international level, etc., all that sort of stuff. But essentially, we saw it in 15 minutes what he's capable of doing when he came on the other day, and
I tell you something.
he wasn't fully fit.
I'll tell you something. There was a bit in that game where he was incredible, right? So he was the Chelsea players were coming forward, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Emerson or someone out on this left hand side, and they were kind of marking him. And he read the play before it happened because he peeled off from them. The ball got passed down the line. He ran in, the ball come in, and he cut it out. And you could see his intelligence straight away. And I turned to the lads who were standing where I was going, that when he's fit, he's going to be a player for us in that midfield. He really is, because he's so intelligent. And it's exactly what we've needed for so long, is just a six who's happy to sit in there. Just happy to sit and do that job, help the defence out, try and drive the ball forward. He was the perfect player to bring on in that situation as well, when we were down to 10 men at the weekend, because he just shored us up in the midfield. The biggest thing that I kind of took away at the weekend as well was just the options. It was good starting 11, and then all of the subs. Although I feel like some of them should have come a bit earlier than they did. All the subs made sense, and it was kind of like someone was coming on, but you never at any point thought the team was weaker. And I feel like that's kind of where we're getting at with this squad now. A player had come on, and you're like, actually, we're still all right. We're still stable. Potentially, Ward-Prowse went off, and Alvarez came on. It was one quality player for another. So, Tim is cooking. He's building something for us, so long may it continue,
He is. Someone put on Twitter, goes, not jinxing anything, but if we sign Rice, if we replace, he should have been named the former captain, number 41, Vlasic, Lanzini and Skamaka with Alvarez, JWP, Kudus, Dinos, and En-Nesyri, whilst also keeping Paqueta, I'll be very pleased. Fucking put it like that.
But it's so fucking true, because we said this when we signed Mavropanos. When the minute we signed him, right? If you rewind 4 or 5 weeks ago, you would never have put him up there as a player that you would have considered West Ham going to sign, because we were not anywhere near that link. Maybe someone had linked us in the past, but it was never really a genuine option of bringing him in. But it's brought back the memory of kind of looking to get the right player to fit the right system, who has the right attitude, who has the right attributes for what that team needs at this moment. And this looks like what we're doing. Gone are those days of West Ham just going ahead and trying to sign. I think Sebastian Haller has been a fucking phenomenal striker, but there's no ifs or buts about it. It looked like there was no mindset in behind buying him. They just went, fuck it, we'll buy him. Felipe Anderson, fuck it, we'll buy him. And there seems to be more effort in terms of putting the due diligence into trying to find the right person to come in. Like I said, when you talk about Soufal and Souček, when they came into West Ham, no one really knew a huge amount about them, but they became what they have and really been pivotal as to West Ham moving forward in the direction that we are, which is as much as the Premier League football's not been great. I said it the other day, 3 years in a trot, European football. We're talking about coefficient scores, all that sort of shit. Never used to talk about it.
Exactly. When we 3 years, we said yesterday, 3 years ago, we didn't know what the fuck a coefficient score was. Now we're like, we're 27th in Europe. Yeah, we're above Arsenal.
But it's funny. It's so true. As much as it's shit, as much as sometimes it is shit, and I fully get that. I get it. And I know I am a half glass full West Ham fan. But equally, though, I know when it's shit. I'm not fucking stupid, right? But equally, though, we don't ever talk about it. I was always sick and tired of listening to friends, even of like clubs in Scotland or Manchester United, and it would always become up the coefficient. Now I did know what it was, right? But I just never took a keen interest in it because I was like, well, we're never really going to do that because we'll qualify in the playoff rounds and get knocked out by Astra Gugu. But you know, it's a point in the right direction, and it would be nice if we could just fix that Premier League form to go alongside the European form. But these signings look like signings that can help that process.
Do you want to know what the most refreshing part of this transfer window has been? As frustrating as it was for the first 3 or 4 weeks, is that no one's talking about Declan Rice.
Shh. Pound in the jar.
No, I say his name. I don't
Pound
care.
in the jar. Pound in the jar.
I'm not scared, you know. But
well, if you're Scott Minto and you do what Russ done, he was like, why not? He should not be named. Scott Minto was like, why not? Why not mentioning his name? What's he meant to do?
What's he meant to do? I was like, yeah, okay, all right.
Russ did not know what to do. Russ literally went from fucking Scotland to Jamaica and back and shot himself when Scott Minto said that.
But we're not though, are we? He hasn't been missed. Let's be really, really honest. In the 2 games we've played, he hasn't been missed. And if anything, we actually look a better team.
I feel a better team. Yeah, you're totally right.
Really, really do look a better team. Like, don't get me wrong, it was frustrating at the weekend against Chelsea in that first half. But you know, better second half, and we just do look a better team. And I don't want to come off bitter or sour or anything like that, but the lads look happy again.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. The camp just seems different. And maybe they knew, maybe the players knew just as much as we all knew that big move was coming, and maybe thought he was a little bit bigger than West Ham, you know. And
I think they did, mate. I think it really does look like that.
Yeah,
like they must have known a year before. Yeah. Like it's not, you know. I think we knew, but we didn't want to come to terms with it. I think or maybe it depends on what fan you were. You know, part of me was a bit like, okay, maybe a conference win may swing, but essentially, you know, when you look at it, it's really kind of opened up.
As you know, it didn't bother me when Rice went, because I just feel like Rice is easier to replace than a Bowen, for instance. So I was always quietly confident that you could replace that player in midfield with someone or 2 players to do the job. And we got good money for him. So
yeah,
I genuinely didn't really care that much. And I care even less now after watching these 2 games, because we seem like we are just a bit more of a team. And the money, surprisingly, looks like it's being used well for a change. It's being used wisely.
It is. I mean, you look at like other teams who have sold talisman, big players. You know, you go back to Spurs when they sold Bale. And the way that money was reinvested in absolute garbage, it just seems for us. It just seems, as you said, you know, you look at what we swapped him for. It's a great swap, really. I think, and you know, more to come. And and that's the thing. When you start getting 1 or 2 players, the football world starts looking out. And so, you know, it's like a snowball. We had to get that first one in. Once that first one was in, we got the next one in quickly. And then Mavropanos was like the next week. And then hopefully Kudus this week. Maybe En-Nesyri, Atike on loan, maybe. Lingard will be the end of this transfer.
I reckon Lingard will get a 12-month contract.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it's all about momentum. All about momentum.
But people might not like me for saying this, but Lingard on low wages for 12 months is the perfect Lanzini replacement.
Yeah, I take the box. I'm all for that. I'm happily.
He isn't going to play every game. He ain't going to play every minute, but he's just an option. And he's not
do you know what, mate? Whoever signs is going to get minutes because we're going to have so many games. So they're going to.
Exactly.
Russ, what was it you done the other night? I said this to you, and you said, who was it for nows?
50 games last year.
50 games last year. I mean, people don't really realise that.
25. It was 25 in the. It was 25 starts, 25 off the bench. I think he played last season. Yeah, crazy. And
the more options you've got, the better it is for you as a club. This is how you avoid injuries. This is how you go deep into competitions, because you got, you know, a better squad and a fitter squad that's able to deal with it. That's why these big clubs go far. Look at their first and second teams; they're strong, and that's what you need. You know, I can't come back to my point about the subs against Chelsea. At no point did you think that sub weakens us. You know, it was a case of making a stronger, better, fitter. You know, to see the games out, and that's what we need.
That's exactly what we need. And I think, considering where, in the when was, and actually have your view, West Ham, just put this comment on about Carlos Borges. Do you remember that? That was just seems an absolute lifetime ago. Exactly. And then it's like, and now it's like a complete role reversal now. And it's like, well, that 14 million quid seems to be better spent putting towards the Kudus deal, or that pays half of the Alvarez money, So it's it's exciting now. It's exciting, and it seems that we've been linked with so many bloody players, but it just seems we've honed in on the forward players now, and the Kudus and a striker and probably Lingard, and then we're probably done. Maybe Ian Martson on a loan, maybe as a left back, I could see, but that's probably us done now.
I think as much as it sounds like we've got Brighton at the weekend, and that's going to be what the biggest test so far this season. The way they're playing, the amount of kind of free flowing football that they're playing, the fact that they're scoring quite a lot of goals. They've got clever players. They've got a lot more pace coming at our particular defence, especially if we don't have a Gerd, which we won't. And depends on who Moyes choose to put in there. Russ, I know you kind of said about Ogbonna, and I was like, fucking do not put him on that park in the nicest possible manner. Like, I don't think it can be Ogbonna, but Brighton's going to be a big test, and I really hope, if we don't walk out victorious, it's not the end of the world, because let's all be honest here, we did not think we would have 4 points after 2 games away from Bournemouth and at home to Chelsea. So I think the team will go in with the same mindset to try and get something from the game, but it's going to be the toughest one yet. And
do you know what the thing is as well? If we all joke about them being our bogey team, which they are, but they're a good team now. They're not just a bogey team. They're a team that are hard to beat for anyone in the league.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an hard game. Regardless of who starts away from home as well. All the away fixtures are so difficult in this league these days. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. But one of their players is injured now, so it's not too bad.
Right. Question, though, because a lot of people are having this chin wag everywhere you look. Kudus can play, like you said, a variety of positions. You're looking at the West Ham setup. If Kudus is fully going to agree and come to the club, which is looking a lot more likely now than it was a couple of hours ago, where does he fit in?
Left side. See you, Benny.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously, I think he'll fill in other positions as and when he wants to try something else. And, the thing with Kudus is, if we don't get a striker and Antonio's fading, you can push him inside and then bring Benny on. You've got these options now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I agree with that. I think he'll probably play wide left. Imagine that pace down that wing.
Well, that's what I mean. And you've got the likes of JWP and Paqueta to pick these people out as well now. It's all right having the pace and lumping it forward, but actually we've got a couple of decent midfielders who can ping those balls in over the top and get into feet and crossfield balls, and you've even got people like Agad who can do nice crossfield balls. Old Dinos, he's got a foot on him, loves a pass. So it's the Moyes way, but it's just starting to generate. I'm just going to Flo's his phone right up.
Oh, sorry. He just left mid conversation. Essentially, though, Dan, listen, I know we're repeating ourselves, but it is a potential very good signing. I know. For anyone that's just joining us at this moment in time, the news was broken by David Ornstein from The Athletic, saying that the deal to bring Kudus to West Ham is very, very close to being done. It's let me just bring up the exact thing he actually said. So I've got the exclusive. West Ham on the verge of an agreement with Ajax to sign Kudus. The bid for the 23-year-old attacking midfielder expected to be accepted. 41.5 million euros plus 3 million euros and a 10% sell-on. Personal terms pretty much agreed. 5-year deal plus an option of a 6th deal. They've had good insight into Ajax to say that the deal would be accepted on. I think what it potentially came down to was the payment terms. I think it was the payment terms that was going to be the big issue. So, this is another player getting over the line, and add that to JWP, Alvarez, and
Dinos.
Yeah. I mean, let's get down to business, mate.
It's a good window. Considering how slow it was, that's an amazing transfer window.
Yeah.
You know, will we get anything else? That's the big question after.
Well, I
this
think it questions, loads of talks going on about Enesri. He's a long-time admirer by David Moyes. You keep, because he's been such a long-time admirer, you forget he's still only 26.
Yeah,
he's fucking so young.
Yeah, I feel like we've been linked with him every window for the last 3 or 4, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's been like a couple of years minimum couple of years. I actually think possibly, definitely pre-COVID. I'm going to say actually as well. I think definitely been linked to him from that long. So, and Esri coming in. Listen,
I was reading something about this, that apparently the board sat him down and said, obviously with our financial issues, we may be looking to sell you, but we want you to give us the green light, and he's given them the green light to move him on.
Yeah, I've read that as well. I think Sevilla have got really big financial problems.
Which is why I keep telling people to not stress about this Pablo Fornals link to Sevilla, because if they're really that, strapped for cash, even if they get, say, 25 million for En-Nesyri, are they really going to be able to reinvest it?
Yeah, no. But I mean, bringing him in, and then, I mean, I don't know. I know we were talking in the chat earlier on. You've got Antonio, you've got Creswell. I mean, it's going to take. Is Antonio going to leave, even with Enesri coming
in? I think maybe if they sign the lad on loan from PSG.
Well, I've just seen there that there's really strong conversations about Ekitike going to Frankfurt as potential for a deal. Coming in, so I don't know how far that one is going along. Where is that? I'm just trying to find it now. Yeah, I don't know where that's gone, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, someone had said, I don't know where I read it, that he's maybe interested in, but here it is. Here, PSG is very open to include Ekitike in their offer for Kolo Munu. I can't say his name. Randall Kolo Mauni. Frankfurt wants to have 100 million euros for the striker. As well, but they're keen on Ekitike as part of the deal. So I don't know how true that one is.
Even if you did bring him in, you could move Antonio on if you really wanted to leave. You still got Ings, Mwamba, Kudus can play up front, Bowen can play up front. See, if Antonio really wants it, which, we're kind of being led to believe he wanted to explore his options. If you get that striker over the line, there's potential that he could move, but whether or not Moyes will allow it, you just don't know, do you?
Yeah, no.
But we are at a point where these players like Antonio, and people might not like me for saying this, but players like Antonio and Creswell do need to start being moved on. They're in 33, 34. They're getting to that point in their career. One more big payday for them if they get their move, and we should be looking to make the squad younger. Even though Creswell's training with the team now, I can't see him playing too many minutes this season.
No.
If he stays,
it's funny. Someone asked last night, "What's the average age of West Ham?" But when you bring up the West Ham team, Fabianski and Creswell take it, and Oggy take it right up there. You're going to need like another because Fabianski's 38, going on 39. So I think the next closest to him is like 34, and then there's quite a few 33s.
I think, but I thought I've read it was 29 the average age. Is what I read.
It is. I mean, but these recent signings, in particular, Dinos, Kudus, and
that was before these signings.
And Alvarez
could bring it down.
Slightly brought it down, probably 27, maybe.
Yeah.
So the Red Bull model is edging a bit closer to it. We're edging a little bit closer to it. So yeah, loads of comments though. Let's jump through some of them. Hold on a minute. What's this here? I really don't know why we've got Ings. Thinking that one from Toby.
I don't think he's looked that bad this season.
Yeah.
Like in pre-season, I thought he was all right, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Rumours today about Bayern Munich interested in Thilo Kehrer.
We were talking about. Funny enough, we were talking about this, especially as obviously put right back, left back. See, I don't think Kehrer is that good at right back. Put in not so much the defensive end of the pitch, because I think he is good there, but. I just feel like with your fullbacks or your wingbacks these days, they've got to be able to do a job on the overlap in the final third, and I think that's what he's lacking. And I think Kehrer is better in a free, and I would
on the
be,
right-hand side.
yeah, I'd be sad to see him go, because I think sometimes with these footballers, you have to remember that like they might not be good enough to start every week, but you've got to have good squad players, and you've got to have players that are able to play other positions and formations and whatnot. And I feel like Kayra as well, he seems very vocal off the pitch, like he's a good leader, he's one in the dressing room. So I would actually be a bit gutted to lose him. It'd have to be silly money, wouldn't it? But I remember, like, I was reading today about he got linked with Bayern, but then they got linked with the Southampton defender as well.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I don't know. Part of me is a bit like, I mean, listen, mate, we sat the other day having a chin wag, and I think I was out for a walk with the kids and my phone beeped, and another Borges we were linked to. I mean, I think that day we were linked to 6 players. Russ has got his linked map of players we're linked to. So you can't really go a couple of days without seeing 3 or 4 new names. It's definitely ridiculous. But I think when it comes to players heading out the door, I think West Ham are going to be a bit careful here now. I don't think there's, you're hearing about Tilo Kehrer, you're hearing about Antonio, you're hearing about Creswell, is just some of and Pablo Fornals. I do not want West Ham to lose Pablo Fornals. The only way I see Pablo going is if he turns to the club and goes, I really want to go and play first team football, but I genuinely don't think he wants to do that, because I think he's do you know what I love about him? He is willing to fight. I think he's got that in him. I think
he'll start against Brighton.
Mate, I think he's got a chance, and why the fuck not?
His impact was so good off the bench against Chelsea, and I feel like Ben Rama's had a couple of really mediocre games to start the season. I really could see him. I could see him coming in and playing against Brighton. Yeah. There's going to be, the thing with Fornals is he might not play every week, but there are going to be times when he is going to be called upon, when he's going to, where his attributes and the things he's good at are going to be needed in games. I actually think he excels in the European fixtures. He's just made for those European games. And so I would be gutted if he went. I'd be absolutely gutted. Yeah. So I just hope that one's just rumour. It's the thing that kind of tells me is the club he's been linked with. They ain't got any money. They're skin. He screams of Wolves when they got linked with Antonio and Creswell, and they can't afford him. Couldn't afford them. So we'll just have to wait and see. But we will be careful. The window is really coming to it's coming to that point where it's about to close. And if anyone that goes now, they're going to need to be replaced. Yeah. And it's like, West Ham could be confident enough in their ability to get it done and over the line. And any player that leaves, they're not going to leave for a big fee. Antonio, you're going to get at most 10 million, maybe. Creswell, you're going to be lucky to get 3-4 million, because you've got to think about the age and the length left on their contract. So, and then to replace that, strikers cost a lot of money. Left backs, to be fair, every position costs a fair amount of money if you want a good player. So, to replace them, you've got to be going out there and doing something.
100%. Fremer saying Moyes will never let Antonio go. We have nothing to replace. It's funny. I seen on social media people put together these kind of highlight reels of players and stuff. And see, when you watch Antonio's one, man, it's fucking every season, every single season. At some point, he makes an impact.
I've never known a player frustrate me as much as Antonio does.
But you love him at the same time, is that right?
Yeah, because it's one of those things. It's just like he could be having the most average game, and then he'll go and do what he did, like at the weekend, for instance. Me and Con were literally moaning about him the whole game. Like, Jesus Christ, run the channel, do this, at least try and jump for the header. And then he gets that ball pinged into him, and it really did get, pinged into him from JWP. Takes it down, rips one defender, sticks it through the legs, absolute thunderbolt of a shot. And we're all looking at each other like, where did that come from? Because he's just that player, isn't he? He's just that. He could do nothing all game, and then he'll have just one magic moment. He's just it's a very frustrating player.
Yeah, 100%. Appreciate the players starting off with. From Darren, Happy says Fornals going feels like a bigger loss than Rice to me. The thing is about Pablo Fornals, and we had this kind of confirmed from inside the club actually. So I've said it before many a time, but there could be new people watching. But we had Jack mate on the channel once with myself and Russ, and I was actually talking about saying that if you bring an international player into the club, who would you want to introduce you to the club? None other than Pablo Fornals, because you you've heard all the stories and you've seen what he's doing, and he even just the simple stuff of like going into a pie and mash shop and sitting and eating jelly deals and having a bit of banter, and just the way I've met him personally, and the way he was with my family, and the way he was particularly with Joey the baby. He fucking bled this club, man. For a boy coming from abroad and not understanding, he understood the full values. And Jack actually confirmed to us that he absolutely did do that, but done it tenfold over. So what he actually did was he came into the club and he said, I want to understand the history. I want to learn his English as much as I possibly can. I also want to learn things like the local dialect and stuff like that. That's why you may sometimes hear him say geezer or whatever, and it's just like fucking brilliant. And then you listen to Alvarez's interview and he said, Fornals messaged me, welcome to the club. And I'm like, this guy, man, this guy gets it. He totally gets it. He'll be frustrated. No ifs or buts about it. I saw a clip of him playing for Villarreal and he looks like a completely different. He looks like the player that we're actually missing in terms of the ball carrying trickster. Moyes has turned him into fucking Gattuso in the middle of the park. But, if you can do that fine balance. The thing is, he always brings you something. I think it was like 2 years ago to the day today when we beat Leicester 4-1 and Fornals was influential. How many moments can you think off the top of your head about Fornals? And, loads of them. He's effective and he came on, like you said, mate, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. He was like a dog with a bone, mate. He was like a dog with a bone, wasn't he?
It was so good. There was one where he picked it up. He picked it up on the wing, wide right, and he turned the player and then he smashed this ball up the field inside. And it was just like, all of us were like, what's a ball? Like, he really did. He come on, he just injected that energy and that little bit of quality we needed. And, I would be gutted if he went. I really, really would. But
Fornals was a great midfielder. Mandy says Benny is mostly better from the bench. I mean, listen, it's funny. He's a weird one because sometimes he does amazing things. If you look at a player based on stats and stats only, and you'd never watch them, you would be like, I'm all over signing Benny. His stats are amazing, but essentially his final third is really, really, really disappointing. And sometimes
it's just too wasteful, isn't he?
Yeah,
too wasteful.
But then also I kind of blame the fact that I don't know why. I mean, he looks a different player when he's through the middle. He looks a bit more energetic, excited about it, but his crossing into the box, man, it's like, oh, fucking hell, oh, there it goes again, or his shots are rosed and shit like that. You just think, come on, mate, come on. But then suddenly, I mean, I mentioned it before, I think he played a game against Aston Villa a couple of seasons ago, and he walked away. I can't remember if he scored or he just got 2 assists, and then he got subbed, and he actually had a really shit game, but he won us the game. But he had a really shit game. It was weird, and it was just typical fucking Pablo Fornals, wasn't
it? Yeah. But it's really, I don't know, mate. Whatever happens, we're going to have a headache. Moyes is going to have a headache now, trying to decide who plays.
Yeah.
Because he's back. There we go.
Sorry. Oh, actually, I'm glad he's back because I do actually need to go because I need to go and get something, and it's 15 minutes till the shop closes, so I do need to go.
Okay.
Cheers, Dan. Bye, everyone. Much love.
Bye-bye.
He's going to get his incontinence pants.
But I was just saying, Russ, about how Moyes is going to have a headache with the midfield now because he's got all these options.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we want. But that's what we need, as a fan base as well. We don't want anyone who's sort of. I think that was the trouble last year, particularly. Is you had many situations where you could. Well, he's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to play. He's going to play. But then if Souček has a shit game, he knows that he's got Alvarez behind him. If JWP has a shit game, then Souček comes in. If Benny has a shit game, then Kudus comes. So that's what we want. That's what we need. And then it just gets people more responsible for their actions on the pitch, doesn't it? Really, and particularly also for the European-based players, for many of them, it's a Euro tournament into the summer, isn't it? Into the season. So, someone like Bowen, good season under his belt. Anything's possible for him. JWP, good season under his belt, could squeeze into the squad.
I'd even argue one of the big reasons JWP wanted to move back to the Premier League is because he knows, there's
last chance.
There.
It's his last chance, really, isn't it? I mean, he'll be 30. Well, I suppose he'll be 32. Maybe he's not. He's not someone who needs pace to his game in all essence. But yeah, I mean, a good World Cup, a good season. He can get into Euros, and that's why I know you talking about the 4 nows thing. That's why I could see that happening one day. Going back because of he's getting a bit on a bit, and he'll want to play the major tournament for Spain once in his career. But yeah, no, it's and obviously the only fly in the ointment with the Kudus deal is the AFCONs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that Ghana had actually qualified. I thought we hadn't qualified, but they had qualified, I believe. They won their group, I believe. Someone corrected me. I was like, okay, fair enough. But yeah,
so we're going to lose him and a Gerd, aren't we?
And Ben Rama.
And Benny.
And possibly Cornet as well. So yeah. Oh yes, there's Ghana. Yeah, Ghana literally right there, by to the group stages. Yeah, okay. Ignore what I was saying. So yeah, no, it's that's the issue now. But then particularly that's why I still think, I suppose, you got to think on that left hand side, if Kudus plays, and okay, well then Ben Rama, but they both go to AFCON, then that opens up a spot. So someone like Fornals actually will make sense to get rid of him because he could slot in there. If Paqueta does get guilty for anything, then you'll think again Fornals will slot in there. Lingard could slot in there as well. I still think, I think the Lingard deal was going to happen towards the end, almost like as a
bit of deadline day one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it'd be like half time at the Luton game.
Yeah,
it'll be and just like it'd be like just in dispatches, very very small. Oh yeah, what? Or he's in the squad. Or he's in the squad for the Luton game and no one's told him. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I'm excited now. I'm excited. I just want to see what's going to happen now. I still think there's 1 or 2 moves out. I heard you guys talking about Antonio. I could still see that one happening if we get one in. Maybe I don't know. Left back, I still think Crest might, but then Wolves apparently have stopped the bid now, and they don't want to buy him, and he's just turned up like nothing's happened, which is quite. He's in all the team. He's in like the team trade. It was brilliant. They had a whole video on the YouTube channel about. And it was labelled, Mavropanos' first training session, and it was like 10 minutes long. 8.5 minutes, he wasn't in it, and literally the last minute and a bit, he was training on his own around the corner. It's like, well, no, just do that. And he was like, so Crest are all laughing and joking and shit like that. And it's like, yeah, it's it just seems a bit. I think the whole team just. I know you were saying it. I was listening in. I had one ear. I was talking to my daughter, but I had one ear like that. And you were talking about sort of the unity, the side now, and I think Holly made a point yesterday about one person where last year it was particularly a one-man band, particularly towards the end, just seemed like a bit of a band of brothers now. Yeah. And they all seem jostling. You got those videos, and you can make up a little bit. They can do a bit for the cameras, but they all seem to be. And JWP seems to have associated himself with basically the English group in terms of like Ings and Cresswell and Fabianski randomly. And then you've got like the Zuma, Aged, Ben Rama, that sort of French contingent or French speaking group with Areola. And I'd just been to see where Mavropanos fits in. Maybe him and Tino.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I know JWP and Ings are friends anyway, aren't they? They played at Southampton, so
yeah.
So it's probably a good thing, really, having Ings there, just kind of for that. But
if anything, because of his, please go and watch. If you haven't seen it, guys, go and watch it because Danny Ings tries to be funny, and he's like tries to look all mean when he walks on the pitch, and he just doesn't look. Just look like an idiot. It's quite funny. Right, so we'll see what happens. No, just go for a few more, then we'll bugger off, I think. Is the Kudus still doing? No, not yet. But as Anton says, 41.5 million euros plus 3 million add-ons plus 10% is on the verge of being agreed. So is that better than a verbal bid? Yeah, probably. What we got here?
Apparently, it's been accepted.
Well, according to Twitter. I'm
just trying to see what.
Let me know.
Yeah, Fabrizio's done the whole eyes, hammers, Ghana.
Fabrizio has done the eyes, therefore he's signed.
It must be done.
until he says, here we go. Until we get, and it's not even that now. Until we get the Steinden airplane picture, that's a new here we go. That's a new here we go.
I've got to say, I love them photos though.
Absolutely brilliant, isn't it?
I love how happy he is. He's always so happy.
So happy. Yeah, Fabrizio 11 minutes gave the old eyes hammers, got an AM flag. He then says 2 minutes later, West Ham are close to completing him after sending new formal bid tonight. Final details being discussed, but West Ham feel 90% of the deal is completed. Same also on the player side. New bid close to €45 million package, which is what we've said, 44.5 actually to be concise. We've said on clause of 10%. Brilliant. Indeed, breaking. And we'll be doing that loads. Anton fucking loves that one. Particularly when he's in the middle of conversation. Boom, it stops him dead. Absolutely dead. I'm looking forward to it, man. I think it's going to be good. And as I said, I see that's the first one. Then we'll get one of the either Hugo or Youssef in, and then Jesse. And then anything else will be a loan. Yeah. Anything else will be loans coming in, I think. That'll be it. I think that'll be good. And then we have where was it gone? And so we've got JWP, we've got the land of the giants. That is West Ham's back line. Look at them. Look how big they are. They can't even fit inside the London Stadium, Dan. Unbelievable. Land of the giants. I was busy at work today. Dan, thank you very much for joining us, mate, as always.
Anytime.
Love it when you're on, man. Love it when you're on. Tomorrow night, guys, we've got a new show. Thursday, 9:00. We've got the lads from the West Ham View Facebook group. They've got their own channel. It's called Have Your West Ham View. We got them on tomorrow doing a live show. So please check that out Thursday. Be two lighty lads, two brothers, lovely guys, and they'll be giving their views about new signings, new tactics. And it's it'll be a really good show. So make sure you check that out. And from myself and from Mr. Dan, thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining us. Loads of people in the chat. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, all outs us out, all that good stuff. Maybe become a channel member. GP's become a channel member for about the 20th time. He must keep forgetting his password. And he's been so many times he's been a channel member. But thank you, GP. And also we'd like to thank all our channel members at the end of each show. So take care, everyone. Stay safe. Come on, you wines. Come on, Kudus. Timmy Steiner got a plane. I went to Amsterdam. I need to learn how to pronounce that one. Take care, everyone. Much love. Come on, you wines. Irons.